Hey, I'm Lauren, and I'm the owner of Imagined Awakenings. I am ready to get creative with some resin. So, as always, whenever working with epoxy resin, make sure you wear your safety gear and work in a well-ventilated area. All right, so this one is actually going to be a bit different from my other videos in that I'm going to repurpose a canvas. So what you see here was an epic fail of, I think, my first attempt at pour art. Yeah, so we're gonna let that die. The great thing about resin is that you can reuse your canvas or whatever surface and pour on top of it like it never was. Woohoo. All right, so what you see me doing there is taking some already mixed resin and cups that I've already filled with colorant, and I am just filling those cups with a little bit of resin and stirring the colors all up so I can get to my pouring. Alright, so for this piece I'm using mica powders, and the white is actually a translucent colorant that I put extra white color in there to make it a little bit more opaque, just a little. So for the colorants, aside from the white, I went with teal and copper because I thought that would make a gorgeous combination. So now that all of my colorants are combined, I'm going to go ahead and start pouring. So I think I did it this way because I randomly saw another artist on YouTube do a similar type pour pattern and liked what they came up with, and so here we are. Really, that's all there is to it. So I started with the teal and then next went to the copper and then following up with the white translucent sort of. So the reason that I'm doing this translucent kind of pigment is that from what I have read and seen is that different colors cause the resin to have different weights. So the mica powders cause the resin to be heavier. The translucent colors are lighter, and of course clearer resin would be the lightest as it has no colorant. When you combine those two and then add heat and motion, it creates what everybody calls sails, and they're all crazy about them. They do look pretty cool, I'll admit. So that's the reason why I decided to use that translucent colorant and just kind of mix it in there to see what kind of effect I get. All right, continuing with the pouring. So I only left this part in here because in hindsight I was highly amused. I go to pick up my torch, which as you notice does not have a flame coming out of it. I spared you guys the I don't know how much time it took to just realize it wasn't going anywhere and just got the heat gun. But yeah, memory lane for me. So I took the heat gun and I put it on high. And I just use it to push the colorants, well, the colored resin around the canvas just to get it to cover more area. So the heat and the movement along with the different resin of different weights, you know, as we talked about a little while ago, is what causes the sails. And so I'm just gonna have a little bit of that here as I take this. It also makes the resin looser or more fluid. And so as you see, there's a little time lapse there, and you can just see some of those cells there at the top of the canvas. That's what we're going for. So I just continuously am taking this, and then I let it rest, but I don't want to bore you to death by, making you wait, watch through the rest periods. And then I let it rest, and that's usually when you see the cells pop up. So certain parts were still kind of bare, and there really was no rhyme or reason. I just wanted certain color to appear more in certain areas, and so I started adding it, and that's what you see in here. So as I've just watched, as I've added, some accents and such around the edges, I can't help but notice how the cells have really just come alive in this piece as it's just kind of settled while I've added, taking the time to add these additional colors and such. It's like super cool, super crazy how it just kind of takes a life of its own. That's actually one of the things I really like about resin. It really just, like, you add the colors, you have the project in mind, and all that kind of thing, but it really just takes a life of its own, and you just kind of have to go with the flow and just kind of learn to love that part of it. You can't be too heavy-handed or insistent on specific results, especially if you want colorful, fun, kind of flamboyant results. You really just got to go with it. I just kind of love that about it. So we're getting on to the end here, so I hope you've enjoyed. Check out as I do my last little bit of the heat gun and moving it around, and just enjoy seeing the final product. Thanks for coming by. I'll see you next time.